Hello crafty friends, and here we are again. We are storming through July, and today is day 27 of Junk Journal July UK, and today's prompt is labels. I just came to a complete mental block when I came to this. I was like, what do you mean by labels? Because tomorrow's is tags and tickets, and I was like, oh, it's all the same thing. But then I was like, no, hang on, labels on plants. And around my garden I do keep the labels from the plants I buy, and I have them just shoved in the side of the raised beds. So I went around my garden and I've grabbed a few that I really like, and I've chosen these three to use. I think they give a good representation of colour. I do have a whole rainbow of colour in my garden, and you can see by these that what I've done is I have die cut the labels to make some flowers, and my die cutting tools aren't quite sharp enough to go through, so I've had to just use the recess and cut out around the outline of the die cut. So I'm just finishing this one. And then what I'd like to do is I'd like to create almost like a little flower pot effect to have the plant label in, and the die cuts that I have made I'm going to use to make some flowers. So what I might end up doing is grabbing my greenery box from my doll's house making stuff. I do make doll's house miniatures. I haven't done for a while. I've currently got my childhood doll's house, which I've stripped back to the basics, and I am going to decorate and furnish for I make flower fairies as well. So I'm going to make it into a fairy house. So I will do that. And now I've put my big girl pants on and I've started making these videos, I will probably upload some videos. I'll probably do them without talking, and then I can speed them up, of some of the makes. Not all of them, but some of them. I wanted to just show you how I was finishing one. And typically I chose the most ornate, and my eyes are not great. It's been a tough day today. We had the funeral today of my lovely neighbour Diane, who passed away back in the end of June, and it was an absolute beautiful service. It was so beautifully attended, so beautifully presented by the vicar, and we all wore colour because she loved her garden, and so the theme was cottage garden. So this is a little bit of an ode to Diane. I have got some lovely photos that were on the order of service, which I asked her kids and they said that's okay. I'm going to use in a collage, so I will do an ode to Diane collage. And then going to get tea this evening. I met a very old friend, my very first friend I made actually, when I moved up to the Cotswolds, and I saw her in town when I went to go and get some tea this evening, and her stepdaughter sadly has passed away. She'd been ill for a while, and she's leaving a most beautiful husband and a most beautiful baby, and it made me just stop and think about how precious life is, and how we should just be grateful for what we have and not dwell on the things we don't have. And I generally am quite a positive person. Like I often say to people, I'm so thankful that I do have a big belly, because I thank God every morning that he's provided me with the sufficient funds to have that belly. And it just, making sure we enjoy every moment that we have, and don't let life pass us by. Life is too precious to pass you by. And I think getting older has made me realise actually what matters in my life is my family, my family that are my family and the family I choose to be my family. So Julie and Evie are the family I choose, and I love my sister and my parents and my son, and yeah, just celebrating what life gives you rather than trying to find the doom and gloom. So I do try every day to have a little bit of positivity about life, and I just, yeah, today has really kind of made me reflect on that a bit, but I just wanted to share that with you because I am a little bit wibbly. It is sad. It's sad that after, yeah, it's sad. So I've got this fairy. She's the heliotrope fairy. So, but I just love the purples and the flowers. And then I've got these flowers that I've made out of the labels, the flower labels. Like I've just shown you, I die cut them and then I had to go around them with the blade. My die cut, I think I need new boards for. And we've got these labels. So this is a new one in my garden this year, Achillea. Delphinium, that's a new one in my garden this year. And this Angelina, I've never seen this one before, but it's got such beautiful purple spires. They're about 30 centimetres tall. And as I said, my garden is a rainbow of colours. You name it is in it. I have a real thrive or die policy with plants. They either survive in my garden or they don't. And I just let them do their own thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just grabbing something purpley from my purple scraps. That's quite nice actually. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw and cut out a simple flower pot shape. So I just want, like the terracotta flower pots, just a simple shape. I'll just come down. So I don't want them too thin. This is just the first pencil I've grabbed. I have no idea what it is. It seems like it's a soft one. Yeah, it's an 8B. I probably couldn't have got any softer. But yeah, I keep all my stationery within arm's reach of my desk. So I'm just going to come round. And then I'm going to cut this out. Okay. So we've got that flower pot shape, which is going to come here. We've got our flowers. So to do the flower pot, I'm actually going to create it as a little bit of a pocket. So it's just going to lift up a little bit. So what I want to put in there to stop it completely flattening down is I might just put a couple of my lolly sticks. So I have these lolly sticks. These are my collage sticks, and what I did is on the Junk Journal community chat and on a couple of other pages, I think there's a tag page as well, I just copied off a whole load of prompts and techniques, and if I'm stuck for something to do, I will just pick 2 or 3 of these and I will have a go at doing a brightly coloured 2D shape animal print collage. It's a bit like the bingo that's on the community chat, and I did nab some of the prompts off the bingo list because I just thought they were quite cool. It just gives, oh, I was using those, I'm yabbering. I was going to use those just to make sure it doesn't stick down flat. So I'm going to stick that down on there. Then I want to create some kind of flower bloom using the die cut flowers. So I'm going to have that there, and then we're going to have, like, I might actually use the lollipop sticks, because then we can cut, let's not. Let's not use those ones because I need those. So I'm going to, where's my yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo! There it is. just put a little line of glue around the outside edge of the flower pot along the bottom. I've really enjoyed this challenge. It's encouraged me to use up lots of my resources. Lindsay has definitely given some real food for thought on the sustainability of my crafting. I'd love to kind of be a bit more sustainable. As I said to Lindsay on a comment on her post the other day, like, I think we're all a little bit hippie of this. We get to this certain age and we grew up with Blue Peter and Art Attack and all those, not Art Attack, Tony Hart, and it was all about junk modelling, wasn't it, and using what's around the house. And my mum used to make us summer school dresses, and I remember I never appreciated it, and I mean now I do, but I remember just wanting that summer gingham dress from Ladybird, from Woolies, but no, we had to have handmade ones. Whereas now I give my right arm for a handmade dress. It's funny, isn't it? But we never appreciate it when we're young, do we? We just see that we're different to everyone else. I'm just going to pop a little bit more glue on that one. Why is this not glued there? Just a little bit of glue in the edge. It's not behaving today. I think the heat today has definitely given me a shock after the last few days. So, and then from that, we are going to have our tags. So, and I'm going to leave them so they can pop in and out, because I will still use them for the garden. So I don't want to completely stick them in, because I do refer to them when it comes to pruning, or let's pop the fuchsia in as well. I know we don't normally do fours. This is a new one this year. This is beautiful. I mean, the blooms are huge. They're lovely. So we're going to have that there. Let's pop her just over here. Oh, before we do anything, let's grab our purple. Let's just go round the edge and just give that detail to the pot. I might need to take those out because it's not sticking. We might have to... I'll just bring it in. Okay. Let's stick this lovely lady down. Don't want to cover up too much of the background, actually. I'd like to leave the background quite, because it is a page out of my gardening, Reader's Digest gardening book, and it is for July, so I'd quite like to leave some of that. Now, the big glue has run out, so I'm down to these really cheap, nasty ones, but they stick just about. You just put loads and loads and loads on. I can't remember where I got these. I think they're Home Bargains one. I think someone bought them for me once, and I don't tend to use them. They tend to be on the desk for children to use, particularly Evie when she comes over. She's very good. She's like, you can trust her in your craft area just to use stuff and put it back, and then it's really quite cute. But if I just put loads of it on, it sticks it. So then I'm going to pop that, just coming over. Not to worry too much about that. Coming up, 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 up. Stick down, stick, 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 stick. And I think, do you know, I was going to make a bunch of flowers coming out, wasn't I? I think what we'll do is, just because these are going to sit in there, we might just have those two actually, and maybe one larger one behind. Yeah, it's quite cute. Let's take that one out. Oh, I have got my new salvia. I do love salvia. They're so hardy and they just grow voraciously in our gardens. My garden is a sun trap, so should we go with the salvia? no, let's keep it those ones. So what I'm going to do now, using the yoo-hoo, I'm going to just stick, why is that corner not sticking down? Stick some of these plants down, some of these flowers down. I'm just going to kind of maximalisty type stick them, some on top of each other. Let's just go in. You can see some of the flowers. There was a Nemesia one, a Dianthus, which is carnation. Yeah, I love my garden. My garden, between my garden and my crafting, they're my two big happy places that I could spend hours. I'm very proud of my garden. When I first moved in, it was just a flat piece of grass. And it had a big trampoline shaped bear patch at the back. And now it's like a cacophony of colour and flowers and bumblebees and nature. And I love it. It is, yeah, it is my happy place. If I'm not in my crafting, in my little crafting corner, I'm probably in the garden. Let's bring that one down there. Just trying to place them so that we get a mix of colours. Let's just have that one on there. Yeah. No, I think they lose each other when you have them on the top. Right. Let's pop that one up there. That one down there. Let's bring that one. I don't mind them overlapping so much, but I think having them on top of each other is a little bit excessive. So I think you lose some of the colour, although that one did quite work on the edge there. Let's pop that one back on the edge there. That one kind of worked there. That one there. I'm not probably going to use that one. Let's pop that one on there. And I've got one more teeny tiny one. I can just come here. And let me get my little quote book. Where has it gone? My lovely quotes. So I'm just going to find a lovely quote. I do have varying quote books from my rapidly decreasing Temu addiction. Cultivate Inner Peace. I like that. Cultivate inner peace. Let your soul blossom with kindness. Let's pick planty type ones. So, let your soul blossom with kindness. Isn't that just the best quote? And then I'll leave that one. I think that one's fine. Cultivate your soul. Let your soul blossom with kindness. Let's just see if we can't move that down a little. What are we on? 18 minutes. I think we're under 20 minutes today. Excellente. That's what we like. Why do I do this? Bring that down. Should always start at that angle because I can always move the flower. There you go. I'll just pop. And then the last thing I need to do is just cut a tab. So I'm just going to use a bit more of this. And actually, that's just a piece from the stamp. But it's got quite a nice rigid. So I'm just going to round off the corners. And I'm going to get my lovely trusty pen. And what are we on? 27. Yeah, my pens are all a bit icky because I was trying to write over the top of some Omigami and it's picked up all the moisturiser. And it is labels. Let's just go over it, make it stand out. So I wanted to make the video quite quick today because I wanted to show you where I am with the actual journal itself. So if you remember, I've pulled the journal apart, which is why I have these individual pages. And I'm going to show you what I've done so far. It's been a labour of love, I can honestly say. Let's have labels there. So I'm going to pop this over to the dry. I did print off some of the Be Happy stationery lined postcards. This is from the garden, Happy Garden something, the garden kit. And I was going to cut some of those out to have some little notebooky type paper in for making garden notes. But I might put those in later, or I might save those for another time. I do love the garden kit. So I'm going to pop that over to dry. And I'm going to bring this rather large tome over here. So this is my Junk Journal July journal cover. So there we go, Junk Journal July. So this is some Momigami from one of the flower books I picked up in Evesham this week. And I've just double made a tag with some lace, a little bit Momigami that I just wrote on, and put a what are they called, eyelet in. And that holds down the ribbon, which is thread into the spine and held with a paper clip, so that won't come out, and then that's just taped down. So the actual basis for this was the original cover from the spiral bound, and then I just used some artboard to create the spine, and then it's just covered in this lovely Ditsy fabric with some of that lovely brown paper on the inside, and the book corners that I have. Okay, then I made this little, this was just in a charity shop pack. It was just a little kit of make your own embellishment type things, and I've just used a bit of the fabric and lots of Yoo-hoo to stick on some nail charm flowers. And then they need threading in. To actually sew the book in, I have, this is book binding stuff, which I stuck to a piece of the fabric, punched, and each signature is about 5 or 6 pages, and you can see I've sewn them together with white thread, and it's a heavy thread. It's not your normal sewing machine thread. It's quite a heavy one. And then using this wool, it's like a bamboo silk wool. I've doubled it up, and then I've used that to just loop through. So each signature, as I say, 5 or 6 pages, and then in between there is a gap, and that will allow for the gator mouth effect. And I've just sewn those in. So we've got 6 more days left, 5 now, because that was one of them. So that will be the last signature, which you can see the holes are ready for. Once that is done, I will fold over these edges, neaten them up, and then that will be super glued or really heavy glued into the spine. So I'm really excited about that. And it just means that it will be able to just sit on the shelf neatly, and the ribbons can tie it together. They will be slotted in the right places. Once it's all done, I will find a way of slotting those in, and then that will hang from the bow on the front. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Tell your friends. I'd love to get to 100 subscribers, and I'll probably do a little giveaway of something I've made when I get to 100. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for listening to me ramble. Be blessed, celebrate every little win today, and just enjoy the moment. Find joy, find positivity in even the darkest of times, as Dumbledore says. Happiness can be found in even the darkest of times if one only switches on the light. And on that note, be blessed.